I'd like to invite on stage Sorin, Mirea from Finshape, who is going to be the moderator. Sorin, please come on stage. Your panelists will be Radu from Masreq, Tolga from Garanti, BBVA, Romania, Artem from, wow, Moldindconbank. Okay, that's an interesting name. Anca from BBVA and Florian from Kearney. Please take your seat, guys.
In the opening of this panel, what I want to do is I want to show you in premiere the results of a study we do in Kearney every year in Romania. A study which could be on slides, but the slides are not projected on the screen. It's a study about that I call simply share of wallet study. It's a study that looks at the usage, switching, consolidation behavior of Romanian customers in relation to their bank. It's a study that looks at which banks Romanian use, which is the main bank, what products they have, how many banks they work with, what's their intent to, close a relationship with a bank, open the relationship with a new bank, ultimately consolidate their products and services to only one bank, and the reasons behind this. So I'm going to spend just 5-6 minutes showing you just the main, let's say, insights or the main conclusions of this year's report, also in comparison to last year, and then we kick off for the discussion. 3 key topics in the beginning. How many Romanians are on the lookout for a new bank? Then how many Romanians would leave, have the intention or would leave one of their current banks? And then how many Romanians would consolidate all their products to one of their banks? And there's very interesting insights this year, and which I will summarize bluntly as loyalty is decreasing. This is what we see. If you look last year, about half of customers were on the lookout to open a new bank relationship. So being prompted with the question, would you like to open a new bank relationship in the next 12 months? Half of them were saying yes. This year, we are already at 2/3, so 70%. So more and more are looking to open new banking relationships. When being prompted, would you be willing to close the relationship with one of your current banks? Last year, about 23% were intending or were willing to close a relationship with a bank. This year, this percentage is increasing, 32%. And then when being prompted, how many Romanians would consolidate? So would you be willing to bring all your products and services to only one bank that you're working with? This is also decreasing. So last year, the vast majority of them were saying, yes, I would be willing to do it for the specific reasons, which we're going to look at them in a second. This year, this percentage is decreasing. Now, what does that mean? It means also, currently, if you look at how many banks Romanians use, the number is increasing. I know it's a slide with many numbers, but to keep it short and simple, last year, the average customer was working with 2.1 banks. This year is working with 2.4 banks. This also means the number of products that I, as a customer, have in every bank that I work with, on average, is decreasing. Yeah? So the relationships I have with banks are increasing, but also it means that for every bank, the strength of the relationship with its own customer base is decreasing. And this is being translated basically in share of wallet. Share of wallet means if I'm Bank X, if I look at my customers and all their products they have with all banks, what is the share that I have in my customer base? And at the moment, some of the, let's say, best performing banks have about 30-35%, but not more. That means there is a lot of potential to increase that share of wallet. So if I'm a bank and if I look at my customer base, I can be pretty certain that if I do very well efforts of cross-sell, upsell, and if I do my job very well, there's an additional 2/3 of products out there in my customer base. I don't need to chase new customers. I just need to monetize better my customers and convince them to move more products to me. So 2/3 of products that I don't have today that I can grasp. A very interesting statistic is where is this share of wallet diluting? Because by the way, it's decreasing. You know, if Romanians work more and more work with more banks from one year to the other, it means the share of wallets of most banks are decreasing. And if you look at which banks share with what other banks customers, the vast majority of banks share a lot of customers with Revolut. It's not surprising, since Revolut has 4 million customers in the market, so they must come from the other banks. But it's incredibly to see that there are still banks which, there are banks which share more than half of their customer base with Revolut. Yeah? Meaning half of their customers have an account with Revolut. And in some of these banks, that share is increasing, yeah? Even 15 percentage points from one year to the other. Another interesting statistics, I know I'm going fast, but we need to also speed up, is which banks are preferred by consumers to consolidate their products. Where to consolidate their products. And if you look at the chart with the purple shade, you have the percentage of customers of each bank which would be ready to consolidate their products to that bank. So you have banks like, the big banks like BT, BCR, ING, 1/3 of their customers would consolidate their products to that bank. But this means, if you ask me, actually a risk of being disloyal, because that the other way of saying it is 2/3 of customers of Bank X would not consolidate to that bank their products and services. And then the final idea I want to leave you with is what would make consumers in Romania, Romanians, consolidate, if they would it at all their products and services to only one bank. And it's not surprising to see, obviously, very low pricing for transactional accounts, or very low fees for accounts and payments and transfers. That's clear, that's the top reason. It's not surprising to see the second mentioned reason, which is very good pricing or conditions to loans. But there's one feature or one reason which, if I remember last year's results, was not among the top 3 or 4, which is the richness of digital offering. That is the features and functionalities, what I can do with the digital offering of the bank, basically with the mobile app, yeah? Because now the majority of traffic is on mobile. This has been, this year, study done in October this year, so very recently, mentioned as the 3rd top reason for why basically customers would be willing to consolidate their products to only one bank. I think that's it. Try to move as fast as possible.
Thanks, Florian. Thanks for opening the panel with this study. To move quickly into the relevant part, because I know we have a lot of interesting insight coming from the guests in our panel. I would just introduce, just in time. So I would just introduce our panel as one that's going to be focused on how the digital banking has been transformed over regions. And we have Radu joining us from the Middle East, from Dubai. We have Artem that has joined us from Moldindconbank. For those who don't know, the brand is the strongest in terms of retail in Moldova. And we obviously have the local market with Anca and Tolga from BRD and Garanti. So without further introductions, I would jump into the question sections. So, Radu, something about innovation in banking. Could you share some recent initiatives that have implemented in the region you currently work in, and is basically supporting the digital banking, is particularly interesting or differentiating in a competitive market like the Emirates?
Thank you, Sorin. First of all, it's a big pleasure to be here with you. I will start with a very short introduction about UAE market, because maybe some of the people are not familiar with it. I was not familiar before moving to Dubai. First of all, the sheer size of the banks in Dubai is completely different than what we are having here. For you to make an image, the first top banks like FAB and Emirates and BD, each of them are having more than 200 billion euro in assets. That means each of them is bigger than the Romanian banking system. I work for a bank which is called Masreq Bank. It's probably the 5th or the 6th in the market. Our total assets are 62 billion euro. Again, we are bigger than the biggest market in Romania. So it's a very different market. It's a cutthroat market in terms of competitiveness. It's a very strong competition. And I was very happy to see in the slides from Florian that customer experience is becoming important in Romania, because I think for Masreq and for us, this is the bigger differentiator in terms of experience and in terms of attracting customer. Masreq, it's a very interesting combination of traditional bank and digital. We are having the best app in the market for the last 14 months with a 4.8 score in the store. And I think this is the biggest innovation driver. We are, of course, innovating a lot in terms of products. For example, we launched 1 year ago a product in which you are a Emirates resident, but you are Indian, for example, and you can open directly with no papers, no nothing, an account in India. These sort of things are very important for the local market. I don't know how relevant they are for the Romanian market.
But on that topic, and I'll switch a bit to the other perspective, to the totally different perspective. Tolga, one question to you. So on the future of branches, I know this is not so much related to what we're covering here, but do you believe there's still a strong case for the branches going forward, especially in this conversational banking context? Can the digital experience totally replace that?
Okay, I think we can put it into two perspectives. One of them is today, what's happening today in the middle of the digitalization that we are all experiencing. And the second one, we should be able to fast forward to like maybe 20 years from now and to see what can happen in the future. So if you look at today, for example, which is just after COVID period, which really, let's say, intensified the digitalization efforts and investments in the whole market. And in Romania only, during the COVID period before 2023, 45% of the clients were going through the digital channels, the first contact. And immediately after COVID, and we started normalizing our lifestyles, it dropped to 39%, which again, physical branches gained importance. So, which shows us that, you know, the branches need, the people's need for the branches, personal touch, human touch is still going on, but not going first to 20 years from now, but maybe 10 years from now, the role of the branch personal stuff is really going to change, which is going to be mostly on the, which I used before in one of the panels term, and it was a little bit debated, like psychofinance. It looks a little bit psychopath, but you know, it's a psychological help for the clients, because what we see is that, for example, a service company is first of all dealing a problem of a client which is under stress, and finance and money is the core of the stresses that can happen, because if you want to go take a medical, let's say if you have a medical issue, you have to pay. If you have to go to hotel, you have to stay. You need accommodation. You need maybe financing at that moment. Your card doesn't work. So we have to be always in the middle of all the stresses, all the issues. And the person who is at the branches, who is at the physical touch, has to be, let's say, has to have empathy, personal traits that are going to be present in the psychologist in a manner that they have to be listened, trustworthy, and also solution-oriented. Fast forwarding the 24 years of now, I'm looking at my own offspring, the children and the others, and even for the 18 to 20 years of ages, most of them have never stepped into a banking branch, even at this moment, and they are not going to be stepping into a banking branch that they're not going to request from. This is going to be a burden for them. So we have to be also preparing for that moment. Let's say, saying that the role of the branches, the human touch is going to be diminishing quite extensively. There's going to be a Roblox moment you know, the popular game for the Roblox of my kids also play a lot. So they will want something that they can experience in this type of video games. They want to spend money, they want to experience that. If they need anything about financing, they should be able to find it in the whatever in the games that they are going to be, let's say, using.
Interesting, and I would like to use the opportunity to ask Anca something, because Anca, you're working in an environment that basically splits this right into half. You also have the digital part, but you also have a strong network. So the question to you is, how should the business model be adopted, technology and digitalization wise?
Thank you. Indeed, the road for traditional, for universal bank, the journey from the traditional model to a modern, a digital one, it's not at all simple. It is a bumpy road with a lot of challenges, with a lot of ups and downs. And in order to put the things in the context, I think it would be very useful to look on what was happening, for example, in the last decades, in the Romanian banking landscape, and to just focus on few figures. Because, for example, 10 years ago, when we talk about usage of online or mobile banking, we noticed that only 6% of the banking population are using these channels. Now we are over 80% in the usage of digital banking solution. Respectively, it's if mobile or not, but the mobile, it's indeed predominant. Also, when we are talking about digital sales, 10 years ago don't even exist such a thing in Romania. So the percentage was 0. Now we are speaking about over 50% of the sales which are currently happening in the digital end-to-end environment. So for sure, this indicates us a huge increase in the appetite of the customer, but also in the effort of the banks put in this area of digitalization. Nevertheless, we are a country of contradiction. Why I'm saying this? Because if you are looking to the figures related with how the payments are done at the point of sales in the shops, still 70% of the payments are in cash. On the opposite sides, in Norway, for example, only 3% of the payments are in cash. So we are still far to the ideal picture where we would like to reach. In terms of BRD, talking about the BRD, the journey of digital transformation starts years ago. And basically, the idea is to change the focus from the product-oriented to the customer-oriented, from a traditional model focused on brick and mortar and maybe contact center interaction in terms of remote, to a digital and omni-channel ecosystem. And just a second, I know we are in the hurry, I know we are all hungry. And I don't want to stall too many times, but what I want to say is the following. It requires a lot of discipline, it requires a lot of focus, and it requires a huge alignment inside the organization. Because, as I said, for a traditional and universal bank, it's even more complicated than for a neobank, a digital, brand new born, and so on.
And I think this is a very good platform to introduce Artem, because he's on the other, let's say, part of the spectrum. Radu was introducing 200 billion in terms of bank size.
62 billion euro.
62 billion euros. Okay, so we step now into Moldova. Moldindconbank is one of the strongest in retail. Obviously, a smaller size, driven by the market size itself. So, Artem, how does this digital front look like in Moldova? And I think the topics Anca introduced, like digital payments and digital wallets, are things that are just down your alley.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Nice to be here, colleagues. You're right, in terms of size, the market relatively small if you compare it to any kind of bank. I used to work for Switzerland, and like it was a small private bank in terms of Switzerland, and it's bigger than the entire Moldova banking market. Yeah, so, but nevertheless, size doesn't matter when you discuss and look at the adoption of digitalization, adoption of the new technology. Currently, as in Romania, cash is the king in Moldova. We still have, like all of us, we still have an opportunity for the market. I mean, in Romania, in Moldova, like only 40% of volumes goes to cashless. In terms of number of transactions, in Moldova, actually, in Moldindconbank, 86% of number of transactions goes in retail. So, like Moldova is quite developed in terms of usage of digital instruments, usage of cards, usage of Apple Pay, Google Pay. So, but still, huge opportunity for all of us, and especially in e-commerce, because Moldova is far behind in terms of evolution of e-commerce. Only 30% is e-com penetration on the market. So quite interesting time and place to evolve for all of us.
Okay. Radu, a topic that you'll definitely have a lot of insights to share, personalization. How does it specifically look in the environment you're leading?
Before talking about personalization, I'll make two comments about digitalization because I think they are very, very important. Again, I mentioned customer experience. I think the key to have a solid and well-accepted digitalization is to be customer obsessed. And I'll give you an example from my case. Whenever you're introducing a new journey to the customer, the journey is reviewed up to the group CEO. Yeah? And everybody is wearing the customer hat. It's something that I never saw in any of the organizations that I worked. It's really, really customer obsession, and I think this makes a difference for digitalization. The second one, it's agile. I started working in agile organization 10 years ago when it was a very, very new and very interesting concept. The way that it's done in Masreq is completely unique and is different than whatever I saw in other organizations. What I'm meaning by this, I'm running Neo, this is a big segment, we are having a lot of customers, we are building journeys, we are doing a lot of things for the customer, but I have engineers in my team. It's not like the engineers is sitting somewhere in IT and it's allocated to a team. The engineer, it's in my squad, it's reporting to us, it has of course technical lead helping him, but there is a really, really embedded work between business and digital part. So we are able to build the journeys by ourselves. And this takes me to the personalization, because we have run multiple campaigns trying to be very close and to be very personalized in the way that we address the customer in terms of communication, into being relevant, sending the messages in real time. For example, when a salary comes in, a message goes to the customer telling, hey, we know you are sending money home in Pakistan, why don't you send it right now because you are having the best interest rate right now. We are having a personalized threshold. If we are having sort of a competition for the customer to reach certain level, we are able to have personalized threshold. We are able to personalize the tracking of reaching various goals or whatever. So personalization is embedded in each and every journey that we are building, and this is possible again because of customer obsession and truly agile.
Thanks, Radu. I would continue with the same question to Anca. Yeah, BRD, I can pass the mic. Ah, you have one. So, how does the personalization look like at BRD?
Yeah, so basically it is very well known by all of us that we are living in the era where the customer is the king. Radu said this and we are all agree with this. Another important element which needs to stay constantly in our mind is that the customer, the people, are not loving the banks. This is for sure no. This also the study indicates, for example, a recent study which I read it, indicates that 7 out of 10 millennials are rather visit their dentist instead of going to the bank. So I think it goes without saying, yeah, so the people do not love the banks. That's why it is important when it comes about personalization, but also when we talk about engaging the customer, it's to support a positive mindset, a positive approach. What it means that basically we need to understand and to anticipate the customer needs and expectation, and to be there to support them achieving their personal goals. Okay? So what concretely BRD is doing in terms of this, we are using AI and machine learning in our campaigns precisely because we want to be relevant and we want to come with a value proposition for customers in order to support their goals. We are speaking about an heterogeneous database of the customer. So as a universal bank, we are managing at least four generations in parallel. We have boomers, we have millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, and so on. They are totally different. So it's very, very important to know our customer and to understand our customer. That's why the segmentation is very important. And to analyze their behavior, proactively came with proposal. And the machine learning is helping us on a constantly basis, on a daily basis, to run dedicated campaigns. And I will share with you some figures, withdraw specifically for this year. More than 20% of our sales this year are generated through propensity to buy through machine learning models, proactively or reactively, depending, to the customer. Also, over 50% of our customer database are addressed with this type of the campaign with machine learning. And this is basically making not only the customer experience relevant and better, but also are making us and our salespeople more relevant and more efficient. Not wasting their time in promoting, I don't know what type of product they have on their target, but to discuss with the customer precisely.
So no CRM pushed campaigns, rather customer-driven personalization.
Customer-driven campaigns, exactly, but very important, respecting the GDPR, respecting the intimacy of the customer, because it is a very
fine line, yeah.
Yes, fine line, how much you should push and on what channel and so on.
I would use some of the things you introduced, like AI and data analytics, and even different technologies come to mind, like cloud adapting and so forth. Tolga, you're really close to all of this. What would be your advice on where do you see the most value coming from?
You know, for what we are doing with AI, first of all, as a BBVA group, they have a public information. We are collaborating with OpenAI now. In all geographies, from artificial intelligence perspective, we are now testing internally what can be the benefits that we can achieve. Some studies also already say that, you know, from operational perspective, it brings the efficiency and productivity more than 50% for the operators. But for management level, more than 20% in efficiencies, let's say, provided. Now we're at the, let's say, beginning of the testing period, and this year and next year we are going to be most probably installing and, you know, start using effectively. Second, what we see is, for example, from the data analytics perspective, we passed from the, let's say, you know, this Cambridge Analytica perspective now. Now, thanks to this machine learning and new capabilities that we have tested, now we can predictively understand and see individually, not as a standard segment or, you know, 20 years old guys or, you know, 30 years old guys, individually, depending on what we have in terms of data, the needs and, you know, let's say, whatever the needs of the customer in advance. And we can prepare ourselves for the let's say, next purchase or next servicing, even before they apply to us. This is another big step. And for the next part, let's say what we are expecting for the, let's say, next developments. You know, it was a nice presentation just before us, and most probably we are also going to discuss tomorrow in the AI concept. I don't want to use all my bullets here, and with this, you know, short notice. We are expecting to put this and use AI agents, you know, which is the new topic right now, which is going to be replacing a lot of operations, individual operations, in the banking or service industry, and whatever we are doing, it might be document system, it might be call center system, it might be card system, and these are we are expecting them to be switching to this into agents, and the major part is going to be managed by another artificial intelligence, which is governed by people who are articulate enough, who are imaginative enough, who are secure enough, and we are going to, our roles are going to change most probably in the management, that are going to be requesting different type of skills in order to be able to operate all these machines. And I don't see this, for example, very far away, because we are only talking about AI here in terms of a software, but we are also missing the other developments on the hardware side, like quantum computers, like we are coming to the biological advancements in the longevity, and also the other type of in the medicine sector. So we are going to be most probably facing a different era, and I say that not later than 2030. And as I said, as an investment, ourselves, at least, including the organizational structure in Spain, in Turkey, and here, and also in the Latin America, we are preparing for this type of changes. And of course, everything has a focus on the customer and the population side.
Thanks, Tolga. And switching to Moldova, how is the neo banking competition in Moldova? And to be simpler in the approach, what do you consider, Artem, as being fundamental for a traditional bank to succeed in the market in Moldova? And just a heads up for the rest, I propose that we close with a final remark from everybody. So whatever you think it hasn't been said and worth sharing, let's go through a round after that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. For digital banking competition, neobanks, likely for Moldova, it's not the case right now. Not a dramatic case. We have Revolut on the market in terms of users. It's not officially on the market, but in terms of users, this is #1 neobank in terms of volumes. At the same time, let's say we are not so evolved in terms of regulation for digital banking. Like literally, digital onboarding regulation came to the market last week. So we are still evolving, and I believe next year will be the year of change for the entire market. In terms, do we feel competition right now? No, because Moldova, this is the market where you should have connection, personal connection. We discussed it on another panel that the small communities, in the small communities, you should have a trust. You don't trust somebody outside of the market. You don't trust just because of the technology. You trust to someone you know. And in our case, we're the biggest retail bank on the market. We literally everywhere. So we have a huge trust. And in terms of newcomers, it's not a neobank. It's a fintech companies. They're trying to get some bunch of the market share. To compare, they spent 2 years to get the number of customers that we could get in 3 weeks. So, but we are not relaxed. Definitely, we are preparing right now for the huge competition.
Any last remark?
We all have space for evolving and for opportunity, because cash, this is the main competitor for us.
Florian, if from your side, we need to add something apart from the presentation earlier.
Well, just very short closing remark. I think we're speaking about a lot about personalization and digital today, but I think we're maybe overestimating a little bit what customers really value. As an advisor, as a consultant, I also need to look empirically to facts, to the market. And if I think about, all the banks everywhere, in every continent, in every culture that has really gained traction and loyalty, it didn't do it through personalized products or services. Yeah? Nobody talks about how personalized their account is. They did it through very simple flows, making a very, very simple way of making a payment, of opening an account, of depositing money. So simplicity, we like it or not, very low cost, so very good pricing. And then the third, word of mouth. Now, that doesn't mean you don't need to invest in personalization, but I think it's not about the personalization of products as much as it's about the way you drive that product towards the customer. So position that product, that very simple, very good pricing product, when the customer needs it, in the moment when he or she needs it.
Anca?
Well, yes, I believe in a balanced approach when it comes about pushing the customer in digital. I do not say that the digital is not the future, but what I want to say is the following. The customer needs to be confident, needs to feel that they are secure, and their interaction is a safe one. Because we are looking on the frauds, typology of the frauds, how the fraudsters are very creative, and in terms of customer education and customer insurance security, we are playing a very important role to protect our customer, to guide them, and to help them to make the transition to the digital in a correct way.
Gentlemen?
I'm going to approach the last word from a different perspective. You know, we are living in a very strange time. So a lot of things are happening at the same time in the world. A lot of advancements are going, and we are at the brink of a big change, hopefully, which is going to come peacefully. And we are also as finance people and banks, and also as makers of the future and also victims of the future, we are actually in the middle of it. So we are approaching this sometimes digitalization as a means to an end. It is not itself a purpose. It is a tool. It's just to achieve our KPIs, which is, you know, making people happy, making people, you know, whatever, make their wishes easier and, you know, less costlier, cheaper, and at the same time, we are going to benefit for ourselves. So we should not be forgetting about that. It doesn't matter it's the AI, it doesn't matter it's the machine learning, it doesn't matter anything else. It doesn't happen, it happens at the branch or in the mobile banking. So it has to be all having the same purpose, so I think we should not be forgetting about it. All these panels that, you know, we have been seeing, we are too much focusing sometimes on the technical details, but most probably it is better also to talk about the, you know, the a little bit from a broader perspective, looking a little bit up from up, and see whatever is going on down there. It's actually.
Thank you. Just to build on what you said, Tolga, I think indeed digitalization is not a scope by itself. It's a means to increase the customer experience, and I think the people are extremely important. I will just close with a very positive comment, because I had the opportunity to work in multiple markets, and in UAE I have access to talent from across the globe. I have to say the skills existing in the Romanian market, in the banking system, in the people working in the banking are extremely high, and you should be proud even if you are comparing with other geographies. And also the advancement of technology, the customer experience, the way that digital banking is progressing here, if I'm comparing with other markets, I think it's quite advanced.
Thank you.
Guys, amazing pack. Tolga, you were nodding the head. You disagree?
No, I was...
You have a presentation now or for tomorrow?
For tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Perfect. So guys, it was a fascinating discussion. Warm applause.